Hi, friends. I've been thinking that a lot of people don't really appreciate how truly complex the Iranian situation and Iranian politics are. You see, right now, we've been in a ceasefire for almost a month, and the global internet has been cut off for more than 2 months. Even during a ceasefire, there's been very little communication and explanation from the government around when the internet is going to be restored and if it's going to be restored at all. Now, imagine a population of 90 million people, many of them depend on the global internet to make a living, being cut off with no end in sight. A lot of people are unable to make a living right now because a combination of internet cutoff, bombing of industrial sites, and probably other factors related to the war has triggered a wave of mass layoffs. Now, the government, instead of managing this crisis of unemployment properly, is allowing the private sector, which in Iran is controlled by an unaccountable and shadowy oligarch class, to basically price gouge as they wish, to double and triple the prices of some necessities, despite there being no real shortage of goods and commodities, and Trump's blockade being nothing but a show. And this is not new. It seems like every time there's an external pressure on the Iranian economy, whether because of sanctions or war or any kind of natural or artificial disaster, the private sector tries to use it as an excuse to perform shock therapy on prices that were previously affordable. And the government, especially the current administration, which is very much controlled by neoliberal hawks, allows them to do that and allows them to run roughshod over people's bank accounts and national interests. Now, this is one side of the story. The other side of the story is that we can't even do anything about any of this. Why? Because if there's any attempt at forming protests or movements to hold the government to account, it's going to be immediately exploited by the pro-war, pro-Israel voices, especially in the diaspora, who have monopolized the space of dissent in Iran for decades. They ride the waves of real grievances of Iranians and funnel them toward their own agenda of sanctions, war, and regime change from above. This is exactly what happened in January, where there were real economic grievances being protested by everyday people until the clown prince, who's basically an Israeli stooge at this point, called on his supporters to storm police stations, saying that help is on the way. Everything that has happened since has been in the service of making our people poorer, making our society more divided, bringing more suffering to our economy and to our people, and bringing war, sanctions, and just more destruction and devastation to our country. Why can't Iranians be allowed to form our movements for justice and accountability in peace, just like every other nation? Why should every grievance be tied to regime change? Why should our protest movements be infiltrated by US and Israel and their stooges? Let me tell you something. I worked for many years as a tenant advocate in Canada, where there's a major housing and homelessness crisis. At no point during my political organizing did I have to worry that my activities are going to be used as an excuse or a motivation for the US to attack and occupy Canada. At no point did I have to worry that exposing injustices done to low-income tenants in Canada was going to serve the geopolitical agenda of the enemies of Canada or the enemies of the same people that I was trying to serve, or the same lives that I was trying to improve. But in Iran, we faced a double whammy of our government not caring about our people, and at the same time worrying that if we speak up, we are going to become a tool in the hands of our own enemies and the enemies who want our lives and our country destroyed. This is a messed up situation to endure, really, and I am worried that the more we stayed in this frozen conflict situation, the more this frustration is going to intensify, and it's definitely going to pour out in some destructive way eventually. All I can say is may we be free one day from this pro-war, pro-sanctions, pro-Israel, pro-imperialist diaspora. No one here needs to be saved by those who don't care about the destruction of our lives and our beautiful country. So please, free Iran from this anti-Iran diaspora and let us deal with our domestic problems in peace. We don't need saviors.